Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we will be solving the Leetcode problem 238. Basically the problem says we have to find the product of array except self. So let's say you are given an integer array nums which is 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to find another array which is basically for this index it's basically the product of all the numbers except this number. The other numbers are 4, 3, 2. So if you multiply all those numbers, you will get 4, 3, 12, 12, 2, 24. For this index, it would be 4 cross 3 cross 1, it's 12. For this index, it would be 4 cross 2 cross 1, which would be again 8. For this index, it would be 3 cross 2 cross 1, which is 6. So you have to find this array and return. And you can assume that at any duration, the prefix or the suffix, the multiplication is always fits in 32-bit integer. So there will be no integer overflow in this case. Okay. So let's think of brute force solution first of all. I'll just use the same example as given above. Okay. So if you notice, what you need to do is you have to, let's say if you are standing at this index and you have to find the answer for this index, what you have to do is basically you have to find the multiplication on the left side of it and you have to find the multiplication on the right side of it. Okay. So the left side multiplication is 2 cross 1 and the right side multiplication is 4. And in the end you can just multiply 2 cross 4 which is 8, and if you notice for this 3 the answer is 8. So I think that's good. So what's the brute force? So basically for each index, okay, you will go to the left of it, to the right of it, and calculate the prefix multiplication, suffix multiplication, and store it in the answer. Let's say you have an answer array, okay, and then you will just have a loop from 0 to n minus 1. You will calculate prefix. Initially your prefix is 1, your suffix is also 1. First you will calculate the prefix, so you will go from I minus 1 all the way to greater than or equal to 0. Okay, and you will just calculate the prefix. Okay, so your prefix will be the prefix into nums j, and then you will calculate the suffix. Your suffix starts from I plus 1, it goes all the way to n. Okay, and your suffix would be, you have to multiply all the elements here. So you will have the prefix calculated, the suffix calculated, and in the end, what you will do is your answer for this index would be simply the multiplication of prefix and suffix. Okay, did you get? So basically, for each index, you will calculate the prefix using this loop, then you calculate the suffix using this loop, and in the end, you just multiply prefix with suffix. Okay. So if you notice, what will be the time complexity here? You are running a loop, and in that loop, you are just running another loop. Okay. So this loop and this loop is at the same level. So the complexity would be n square, and the space complexity would be of 1, as we are not using any extra space. Although we use this space, but this is part of the output, and generally we don't consider the output array space in the answer. So this is the solution. Now, can we do better than this? Let's think of another approach. So I'll just use the same example, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we are at 2, okay, what we have to do is we basically have to multiply all the numbers except this 2. So what we can do is, let's say we just calculate the total multiplication, which is 4 cross 3 cross 2 cross 1. So it basically it's 24. So when you are at 2, so you have to multiply all the numbers except this, right? you already have this 24, which is all the numbers multiplied. So you can just remove this 2. How? By dividing this with 2, right? So what you can do is, you basically, for this index, your total is 24. You just divide 24 by this number 2, you get 12. For this, you just divide 24 by 1, you get 24. For this 3, you divide by 24, you get 8. Then for this 4, you get 24 divided by 4, 6. If you notice, this is similar to the one seen before. So this is your answer, right? But in the question, you're given that you don't have to use the division operation. So in this, when we calculated the value for each index, right here, here, where whatever is the total multiplication, we are dividing the total multiplication by the number here, right? But you can't use the division operation as given in the question. Now, can we do better than this? So let's see. I'll just use the same example again. Okay. So what you can do here is, so I'll just create an array. Okay. So if you notice, when I'm at index 3, okay, what I do is, when I'm at index 3, I'll be just calculating the prefix multiplication for all the numbers to the left, the suffix multiplication all the way to the right, right? This is what I'm trying to do, okay? So what I'll do is, I'll do the prefix multiplication, suffix multiplication in two loops, okay? I'll just use one loop to calculate the prefix multiplication. So what this index, so I'll just create this, okay? So what this index will store here is, what is the prefix multiplication for all the numbers to the left of this number, excluding this number. See, this is very important, excluding this number. So for this number, there is nothing on the prefix, so I'll just put 1 here. Then we move to 2. So what is the prefix multiplication for 2 excluding 2? What is the prefix multiplication? So it's just 1. Okay, there is only one number here, 1, so it's 1. So then we move to the next index, 3. What is the prefix multiplication for the numbers to the left of 3 excluding this 3? It's 6, right? Then we come to the 4. What's the prefix multiplication for all the numbers to the left of 4 excluding this 4 here? It's 3 cross 2 cross 1, which is 6 again. So now, with one loop, when you iterated from left to right, you just calculated what's the value for the prefix at a particular index, ignoring that index. This is very important, ignoring that index. If you notice here, I think I made a mistake here. Here it should be 2 because I have to ignore this 3. It should be 2 cross 1, which is 2. And for this one, it should be 3 cross 2 cross 1, 6. Yes, this is correct. So I'll just write it down again. So basically, I have calculated with one loop from left to right. I have just calculated what's the prefix values for all these indexes by excluding that number. What is this here? This is basically the prefix multiplication for all the numbers all the way from this left to right, excluding this 4. So 3 cross 2 cross 1, which is 6. Okay. Now you have this array. Now you have to do the same thing, but in the opposite direction. This is the prefix multiplication excluding the current number, right? Now you have to calculate the suffix multiplication. So now you have to go from the right to the left, and you have to keep on updating this multiplications, whatever you have here. So now these are the prefix multiplication. You have to multiply this prefix multiplication with the suffix multiplication. So let's say now, so my original array was 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is my original array, okay? And this is what I have calculated so far, 1, 1, 2, 6, okay? Now see, this is, what does it means? This is basically prefix multiplication excluding num I. Okay. Now imagine we are standing here. Okay. And I already calculated the prefix here. Okay. This is my prefix array. When I'm standing here, what I need now is I need to multiply this prefix value with the suffix value also. So I'll just iterate from right to left and I'll keep on updating my prefix with the suffix value. So initially my suffix value will be 4, right? This 4. When I'm standing at 3, I already have my prefix value excluding this 3, which is 2 here. Okay. So what I'll do is I know the suffix value is 4 when I'm going from right to left here. Okay. So this is my prefix value, this is my suffix value. So I'll just multiply my prefix value with suffix value and I'll update this to 8. Okay. Now I will be going to the further index, which is 2 here, but I'll update my suffix value. Okay. What is this suffix? This suffix is what is the suffix multiplication excluding this 2 all the way to the right of it. So it was 4. I'll update with this 3 now. I'll just multiply this 4 with 3. So it becomes 12. Okay. Now I'm standing at this index 2 and my prefix is 1 and my suffix is 12. So I'll multiply my prefix with suffix. So I'll update this to 12. Okay. Now I'll be moving to this index. So now my suffix is 12. I just update my this suffix. So the suffix was 12 when I was standing here at this 2. But now when I'm here, my suffix will be updated with 12 cross this value, which is 24. Okay. Now I'm standing at this 1. Okay. Now the prefix value at this 1 is 1 and my suffix is 24. So I'll just update this to 24. So if you notice, my final value is 24, 12, 8, 6. This is similar to the values that I have shown you before. Now I'll just show the same code uh, on the Leetcode. So basically here I'll be using creating the same answer array of length nums dot length. Okay, and for the first index I'll just create one here because this answer will be storing the prefix. So calculate the prefix till ith index. All right, excluding it should exclude the ith element. Okay, so I'll just go from left to right. Okay, so this answer is prefix, right? I'm just calculating the prefix here. So this is for the prefix, right? So answer I is whatsoever is the value at I minus 1th index, which will be the prefix multiplication till I minus 1, not including I minus 1, right? So for answer I, which is the prefix till I have to include that element. So I'll just multiply it by I minus 1 element. So here I'll be having the prefix multiplication for each index, right? Now I'll just do the suffix calculations, right? I'll just do the suffix calculations. I'll go from the last element. For the last element, the suffix is already like there is no suffix for the last element, right? So I'll just store here the last element. You will get an idea why I'm doing it like this. So for the element 1 before the last element, I'll be calculating the suffix for it. Okay. So answer I. So right now, if you see this answer I, it already has an prefix value for the ith index. Now, what's the suffix value? The suffix value is all the way coming from the right side to the left. Initially, this suffix will be the last element. So this is basically what this is saying is the answer for the ith index is whatever answer I already has. This basically is the prefix, right? Prefix till ith index excluding the ith element multiply the suffix value. And for the first element, the suffix is the last element, right? And then I'll just update the suffix value. The suffix would be suffix star, whatever is the element present at the current index, which is I, right? So I'll be updating this suffix with this element so that in the further iterations, when I multiply this prefix with the suffix, this value is updated. Then in the end, I could just return the suffix. Sorry, I could just return the answer array. So hopefully it should pass. If not, we can see what's the issue. Okay. So if you notice, I'm just running one loop here and another loop here, which both of them takes off and time, right? So the time complexity of this approach would be of n, right? Plus of plus n, which basically resolves to of n. And the space complexity would be O of 1 as I'm not using any space. This space is not counted as an extra space because I'm using this for the output. So this is it. I hope you guys understood the problem and the solution. If you found this video helpful, please like the button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be posting more such videos. Thank you guys.